Hey, welcome to the Cyber Savvy Woman, where women business owners reclaim their power in the digital world. We shatter the myth that cybersecurity is too complex to master and transform protection strategies into clear, actionable guidance. This is your digital empowerment sanctuary, where cyber fear becomes cyber confidence. Whether you're protecting client trust as a therapist or safeguarding financial data as an advisor, you'll hear from women founders who've conquered digital challenges and security experts who speak your language. Every woman leading a business deserves to feel unshakable in her digital decisions, no matter her technical background. Are you ready to stop letting cybersecurity intimidate you and start letting it elevate you? Here's your host, Rachele Schainker.
Welcome back to the Cyber Savvy Woman, where we talk about practical ways women can protect themselves, their businesses, and their futures in our increasingly digital world. I'm your host, Rachele Schainker, a Silicon Valley technologist and owner of the award-winning managed service provider, CMIT Solutions of San Mateo. Today, we're joined by Shoma Sinha, founder of Vicara, a finance transformation and ERP consulting firm helping businesses modernize their financial systems through smarter technology, automation, and scalable processes. Shoma has a fascinating journey that spans global banking, financial leadership, ERP transformation, and entrepreneurship. Shoma, welcome to the show. Happy to have you here.
Thank you, Rachel, for the warm introduction, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah. So I alluded to, your very incredible journey from banking and finance leadership, all the way to founding your own consulting firm, also here in Silicon Valley. Take us through that path. Like, what kind of led you to wanting to start your own business and branch out on your own, if you will?
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, Rachel. And honestly, I never thought that I would start my own company, but now when I look back, I think universe was always conspiring. Yeah, did my in my professional life, I started my career in finance as and in a banking world, first with a foreign bank, and then I went into India's largest private sector bank, ICICI Bank. There, I was not only handling the finance part, but because the bank was so huge and we were evolving, we decided to become the first systems unit in the world of in finance. And people were like, "What's that?" And we like the company had bought Oracle eBase, and they wanted FP&A professionals, people who had actually done FP&A professionals, say to lead this transformation because it would be hard for general technology to understand that process. And I think that's where the seeds of Vicara were sown, because what I realized, it was unconscious at that point of time. But from then, from my enterprise journey and then coming to Silicon Valley, working with startups, every time there was a need for finance to stitch in technology, I was like, no, 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 no. Let's start from the financial concepts. You know, put that ahead, understand what the GL impact would look like, what the reports would look like, and then stitch the technology. And that's how Vicara was born. So the value system, the foundation of enterprise, and the agility of startups. I think these two are a combination of Vicara.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You mentioned on our pre-call, our prep call, that as a business grows, founders need more ways to create outreach and visibility. How has that kind of shown up in your own journey? Like, how are you reaching out in ways to create more visibility for yourself? I thought that was an interesting comment. Yeah.
Definitely. The one thing that I talk to a lot of founders, and that's what we try to tell people is in today's world, information is the key, is critical. And for every company, information about their own company is most critical. Which department works on that? And that's no two opinions. It's finance who takes data from everyone, processes into information. So it's mission critical for any company to ensure that they have the right systems in place to ensure that their back end, which is finance, can deliver that kind of information which is so strategic for them, for their strategic partnerships. And that's how we kind of building that kind of outreach that and with the onset of AI, I think it's really helping those conversations.
Yeah, yeah, very true. So tell us about the clients that you're working with today. Who is an ideal company that comes to Vicara?
An ideal company to Vicara is anyone who is, wanting to have a complete visualization on their financial strength, okay, and the financial position, and they wanted to have it quickly. Because on an average, the traditional finance is closing almost 35 days. The finance team is sitting on spreadsheets, and everyone is making decisions on data which is 30 days old. So, our ideal customer is people who are wanting to make forward-looking strategic decisions at the click of a button, and they are the ones who are saying, "Hey, please come to us and help us transform our finance, unify the data, and ensure that we get our reportings faster."
Yeah, I love a lot of business owners hear terms like financial transformation or ERP optimization, and they don't really understand what that means. Can you kind of explain that to our viewers in like simple terms or like, quick little takeaway?
I know, Rachel. I mean, you generally go through two sets of people who know about this, and the people are like, exactly what is that?
Exactly, exactly.
And I'll give you a simple example. I just met an individual in one of the events, and he was asking, "What do you do?" I said, we help build your financial stack to ensure that your reporting is clean and you get to know all the financial information." And he's like, "Oh my God, you know, um, we're doing great business, but then when I look into my accounting software, it's showing negative balances. My revenue is not showing up." I'm like, yes, that is very important. Either the accounts are not clean, or you're not doing it right, or this is the state of it.
Yeah. That is a financial transformation. Yes.
Financial transformation for early stage business owners, a lot of times it's like, why do I need it? I don't need this. But you need it because this is the only place where you can know where you stand and how far can you go given your current resource, and when should you start talking about resources, which could be capital or human, as you like it, much before. Like, you can go at the last minute, you'll be totally done. So these are the business owners that should be talking. And it's not just big companies, it could be a construction company, because they don't know, if your accounts are not clean, which project is making money and which is not.
Yeah, yeah. You work heavily with NetSuite and finance systems. Where do companies, this kind of tags onto that, where do they get stuck inside of there? Is that they're not maintaining their systems? Is they don't have the right person? Is it the coding? Or, what is it, like the common issue that you're seeing that those systems kind of go sideways?
I think there's not just one use, it's a mix of a lot. If you think about it, like I said, in the because of AI, there has been a slight change. Suddenly people are awakening to, how do I use artificial intelligence? Prior to that, finance transformation was like, get a stack, it will be done.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
you know Buy a software and the solution will be done. So all the transformations were made technology in, and then finance needs to be sprinkled in. There were system integrators, but there are no system adopters, and that's where the gap is, right? So every transformation, and especially on NetSuite side where there is a problem, it's because there's no alignment between people, process, and the technology features. It's this unalignment that's really killing it, and then people start pointing fingers, like, this, and then you can go on doing an RCA, what came first, right? Either the process was not aligned, or the people were not aligned, or nobody knew the features.
Yeah, yeah. Many growing businesses still kind of manage critical finance processes in spreadsheets. Why is that risky to do?
because spreadsheets are the most agile or adaptable tool that any finance person can have. And I think I don't know any finance person who doesn't love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But because they're so adaptable and you can make anything, you can make zero or you can make million in a click of a button, and that means your data is not as sensitive as it should be, it's not protected. And given the fact that world of finance is always time sensitive, when you're using so much data sensitivity over spreadsheets and you have no control, always the hell goes wrong when you have a board meeting or when you have something to send it to a to the financial institutions or to a venture capital. So there's always a risk, and there's far too much, there's no audit trail as to who done it, which is again very risky in the world of finance.
Yeah, it's so true. What are some of those warning signs that a company has outgrown its current financial system or spreadsheet? If you
Yeah, I think the warning sign is that they are not able to send, meaningful data without doing a massaging and working on spreadsheet and taking 15 days to close and another 5 days to give meaningful information. So it's 20-25 business days. It's that is your biggest sign, right? And a lot of companies fall under that. So that is your sign that your system is not being well supported and it's time to move on to something better.
It takes us 1 day to close, so that's not bad. I think we're doing good. We can do it in 1 day.
Yeah. Yeah, one day would be an overkill. I don't think there's any system or any company that can close, but very efficient ways to close is at least five. Five is good. Five is really good. One, let's hope.
Yeah, well, it's that simple. Yeah, there you go. What does, when you engage with a client and you take them through the process, I'm sure it's going to start with, assessment, implementation, stabilization. How do you measure the success? Are there KPIs that you're looking at? Are there goals? Like, what does, successful client engagement look for you?
Rachel, I think you've asked $1 million question. I think the most important thing is to decide that in the beginning of the engagement, like what is your outcome you're looking for? Because many a times, like the client comes in and you have addressed this in your earlier question, they say we want this. Because okay, what is this that you want? We want one report. So the most important part of our engagement is at the beginning is to decide what is the outcome or what is your success criteria. When we realize and when we actually talk it over, all the pain value comes in. Like we just recently engaged with one company and they said they were going through two vendors, one on the AP side, one on the AR side. The IT team of the company sits in one geography continent. The finance sits on the other, and they're like, we're done.
Yeah, yeah,
So they said, we want one vendor shop who understands everything, who can coordinate with finance, with IT. And we don't want to do the coordination. We just want to give you the requirements.
yeah. Oh, it's great. That's great. Yeah.
I'm like, this is how it is, the disparated views, disparated systems. And I think just aligning that and all this has to be, we address it right at the beginning because otherwise the goals are not clear.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I love that. Let's talk a little bit about technology, AI, maybe a little bit of cybersecurity. Technology is obviously at the center of your business. How have you seen finance technology kind of evolve over the last few years? What are some big changes you've seen?
Yeah, like I said, the population who's now recognizing the need for transformation has increased. You know, Earlier it was always people, companies who had growth, they were looking at transformation. Or if you were a serial entrepreneur, like, in the startup world, you've been there, you've done that, you've realized how much EOS pains you have gone through, you want to do it early. right? Other than that, the rest were like, not my problem. With AI coming in, because everyone has realized that this is something we need to adopt and evolve. And there's so much buzz, people like, okay, what do we do? So the population who's beginning to talk about it has increased. One thing that we tell in the world of finance is one is the stacks. There's a whole world who is selling you agentic AI, agentic substack, flows. Fair enough, go shop for it. But the world of finance, you have to understand, do not implement anything backwards because then history will be repeating again.
Yes, yes.
you know Implement your AI framework. And I think now, that's what we as Vicara have been telling, and I can see that it has been resonating with the CFOs, because it's an ocean. And one CFO told me, I don't know how to boil the ocean. And you're like, don't have to boil the ocean, you just begin with the framework.
Exactly, exactly. I love that. You do work at the intersection of finance and technology, as I said. How important is cybersecurity when integrating those financial systems together?
Whoa, I think cybersecurity is like AI. They are directly proportional. They are going hand in hand. It has become even more important of in this modern day and age. And I would say that, at the beginning, when you just started a business, and if you would connect with someone in SBDC, and I was talking to one of the gentlemen there, I said, people would say, you need general insurance, you need professional insurance. I'm like, now you need to tell people, start with cyber security insurance. That's how that's how important it is, even when you are at that onset. And as the technology stitched together, as AI agents are coming in, as people are talking about MCPs, safe MCP has become even more um, important. And I think that word has to get more cognizance, not just model context protocol, because there's a lot of cross connection and hallucinations and many ways to hack it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're seeing it. Last week, I had back to back calls of people where their email tenants were hacked and people had got right into there and was trying to redirect funds. So you have making sure AP, who's ever cutting those checks, they have, policies and procedures in place to, like, yeah, I mean, that's where I'm seeing it. It's like kind of on that front line of besides the tools, but making sure you have those policies in place. Let's talk about, you know, when we talk about AI tools or automations, do you think how do you think businesses should go about figuring out, where they implement it in finance? Are you of, the sort of like look at like what transaction are you doing every day, hundreds of times, like how do you take them through um, that evaluation?
Yeah, a very valid question. I think, what we do is we try, because an AI agent, if you think about it, is like a junior most agent, right? And it can definitely do things faster, as long as it's given a playbook, like, code this, or code this department, code this account code this location. So the best thing to do in the world of finance is use any transaction driven kind of a activity, say for credit card, for example. I think that's one of the best examples that people can use, because a credit card the they do come with pre-approved limits, so that piece is already done. Now we need to see, the accountant has to see whether the approvals are whether the receipts are there, whether the coding is right, and things like that. And this piece can be done beautifully by AI, and it can actually do it far more faster than an accounting, I think an APA. And these are the kind of activities you can totally reduce in a growing organization, where sales and sales solution engineering probably have, like, you have 100, 200 people spending their card left and right. This is where, it can be tremendous savings. And like I said, the direct impact is clean codes, because AI doesn't understand. Oh, maybe it's like It is. So it's very, very, very good. It will push back when receipts are not there or they are not right, and it improves the quality.
Yeah, those outliers. Yeah,
Yeah, totally. Those kind of outliers. So anything on the transaction, there are a lot of stacks which have already built in with some automation and now in improved AI, where you can scan, capture, record, and keep on reading and recording. Repetitive bills. So that really comes reduces the AP time. So anything on the transactions, those are the ones where AP agents can do. Um, we are in this world where cogs is very, very complex, and they're only getting complex because of like 10 formulas attached. Now those are the things that calculation agents can do, as long as you give them variables like four variables, take this, do the multiplier. Right?
no, that makes sense. Yeah.
And that saves the accountant's time and helps them keep lean and accurate.
Yeah. For business owners who are, maybe they're feeling overwhelmed by finance technology, where would you suggest they start?
Okay, so Rachel, we did a survey of like 85 CFOs, okay, in this very space. How do what are you thinking about AI and, all the challenges, the fears, the outcome? And one of the questions was this one, because only the shoemaker knows. And everyone said that we want to start something small. We want to take one pilot project and then, see how it goes. And I think that's the right way to work, because, like I said, even though we want to believe and we want to use AI, as of today, data is fragmented and disparate systems live. So there is a simultaneous work of trying to clean and stitch the whole piece together. But having said that, even to inflict a small piece of AI is a journey, right? Because it is a journey. It's not going to be anything like tomorrow. So take a small piece of area and start working on that. That really will give strength to the teams as well, because now they have to learn. We just do the first part of bringing it and enabling it, and then we train the trainer.
Exactly. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so it goes with their mindset that, hey, this can be done. Now they're like, okay, can you give us more?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and just your personal, like we can go entrepreneur. What were some of the biggest challenges you had, in your early days of setting up Vicara?
Okay, I think e- even today, but back when I started and now I think about it, mm, uh, there were challenges like, what do I put in my website?
Yeah, true, right? Yeah.
Because I came with professional, so my resume had only professional life, and I'm like, here I'm starting a company, what do I write? That was my biggest challenge. And I'm like, whatever, I don't want to write something too much because it's not true, but I don't want to do something too small, that is not right. So my first challenge was getting the website because I really didn't know what to write.
Yeah, I think that's very common. That's very common because we all want to build this, but we're like, oh, there's this marketing piece, branding piece.
There's a whole marketing piece, and I'm like, and I'm a finance person, so I'm conservative by by blood. So I'm like, yeah, but what am I going to write? Um, Other than that, I think not only marketing yourself, but marketing yourself as a team. That was a big challenge, and I rightly so. Who Vicara, who, right? Like, so I would have to build my resume, send the skill matrix, let people know that we're small, but we're not. We're honest. So I think that was a challenge, and of course, being a woman in finance and technology, it's it's amazing how in and I started in 2023 and I'm in Silicon Valley. Yeah, I still think most of us journey would, when I say this statement for all the women who are there employed or self-employed, they would know that there's always questions asked on your capabilities. Yeah, for the way you look to the way you smile. irrespective of what your resume looks like.
Somebody told me the other day I needed to be friendlier. It's like,
You have a very sweet smile. I don't think you can do project management. And I'm like, whoa.
oh no.
I'm like, you wouldn't have said that to a man, so I can't help the way I look. I think you should change the way you think.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. I love that. I love that. Outside of work, you've spoken about your connection to, I hope I'm saying this correctly. Is it Odissi?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Odissi dance and culture. How do these parts kind of influence your life and maybe the way you lead your company?
Rachel, I think, for on this note, I want to say that the life we lead is always the choice we make. And there's one thing that I'm so proud of is my dance, my choice of my own dance. I'm an Indian classical dancer, and dancing in general um, needs rigor and grace. There's a combination of two. And if you talk about any entrepreneur opportunity, anything, whether you're a small business, you're big, and you're those, we're all looking at SpaceX, and we know what it is to be a, trillionaire. All of this comes with rigor because you got to have that discipline no matter what days you see, the good days and the bad days. And you also always have to be graceful because you're dealing with people, employees, vendor, customer, your personal relationships, your friends, your connections on the good days and on the bad days. So I think my Odissi dance has only helped me maintain the rigor and grace, and it's become a natural part to me in my personal and professional life.
Yeah, I love that. Very nice. So we've come to the part of the podcast where our quick little rapid fire questions. I'm going to ask you something. You're just going to tell me first thing that comes to mind. Do you use a password manager or I'll remember it?
Password manager.
Then are you a Mac or a PC person?
PC.
PC, yeah. And then inbox zero or controlled chaos?
Inbox. No, actually, control chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. What's your favorite AI tool right now?
Claude, Claude Code and Claude Co-work. I really enjoy working there.
Yeah. What is one app you couldn't run your business without?
Teams.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Actually, payroll.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Cloud-based system or on-prem systems?
Cloud-based for sure. Yeah.
Cloud, yeah. And what is the most overrated business buzzword right now?
AI.
AI? I love that.
You actually, I would say there's a sentence. You can start a business without people. I think that's the most overrated with AI.
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
I'm like, wow, I want to see that.
exactly. And what does being cyber savvy mean to you?
I think it means protection, which is very important because business is not just about expansion, but it's about protection. So, cybersecurity is all about ensuring yourself, the company, the data with the right firewalls, if I may say so.
Yes, I love that. No, well said. Shoma, this was a great conversation. I love how you brought together the human side of entrepreneurship with the operation and technology side of running a modern business. I think so many listeners will relate to the idea that growth eventually forces companies to rethink their systems, processes, and their visibility. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your insight, and around financial transformation. And for our listeners, please, and you want to connect with Shoma, please check out the show notes so you can find her links and connect to her. And to everyone who is listening, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to subscribe and share this episode with another business owner who may find it interesting. Shoma, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rachel. It was wonderful talking.
The Cyber Savvy Woman podcast requires more than a conversation. It takes action, research, and collective wisdom. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear your insights. Join the conversation and help us shape the future together. We'll be back with more stories, strategies, and real-world solutions that are making a difference for everyone. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe, rate, write a review, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too. Hey, thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode.